This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror and sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming back my good friend, the beautiful, the talented, the fucking hilarious Joy Eileen. She is the host of When Life Gives You Lemons and Happy Endings Massage. She does it all. She's a comedian, she's an actress, she's a massage therapist, podcaster, and she's an author of many, many books. Go check out her shit on the internet. She is so talented. Having her back on today to nerd out on the entertainment of our youth, since she's close to my age. We're going to talk about pop culture and all that stuff, and I fucking cannot wait. I've been wanting to have this conversation with her for a while now, and I'm so happy it's going to happen. And I'm going to cut this intro short because we have a lot to cover. So yeah, here is my new interview with Joy Eileen.
Hi.
Hey Joy, welcome back. How are you today?
Good. I was just saying goodbye to a baby.
Yeah. Oh my God, how you been?
Busy. busy. What about you?
I know, I've seen you be busy. Me and my mom moved into our very own house. We had a 4th of July party. I got COVID, and then last week I got a baby kitten. Can't complain.
Aww. John has COVID right now.
Yeah. Yeah, my mom's got pneumonia right now, second time, but it's not as bad as the first time, and she'll be okay.
Oh no, that's awful.
It is. So, going back in time, do you remember the first movie that impacted you as a child?
Oh God, you're gonna ask hard questions? Let me finish my Skittles first. The first movie that impacted me. I don't know. There was a bunch of them. Like, do you remember the old Witches movie?
Oh, yeah, with Angelica Houston?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
That one was a big one for me. I was one of those weird kids that would find a movie and then just rewatch it and rewatch it and rewatch it and rewatch it.
Yeah, I thought Jim Henson directed that movie. As it turns out, it was Nicholas Roeg who directed The Man Who Fell to Earth with David Bowie.
Oh.
Yeah, as it turns out, the whole puppetry, that was Jim Henson. That was his last production before he died. But I swear to God, I thought that he directed that movie.
Huh.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Batman with Michael Keaton.
The best.
Which is why I have the Batman tramp stamp.
I heard Robert Wool say when Keaton found out that he was going to play Alexander Knox, he was like, "Oh great, somebody from my stand-up past." Yeah, I thought that was funny. Yeah, for me, like the first movie that truly impacted me, was Back to the Future.
Oh, that's John's favorite movie.
Oh, I knew I liked John for a reason. I just love the premise of going back in time and finding out why your parents are so fucked up and why you're fucked up. That's why I gravitated toward it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. My parents used to let me look at their yearbooks and shit, and so, yeah, I think that's why a lot of people love that movie, because I think they think the same way. I mean, I've met some people who said, no, I don't want to see my parents in high school, because it hits too close to home.
Right.
Yeah. What genre did you gravitate toward the most?
Romance.
Romance. Oh, so...
Romance and comedy.
So you like the rom-coms?
I do. I'm not a huge fan of, like, the action movies. Like I said, the only action movie I like is the Michael Keaton Batman. And, yeah, I haven't watched any of the Marvel movies that are out. They're just not my thing. I like happy endings. Well, not happy endings. I'm in a massage room right now. I like happily ever afters. I like just the fun stuff. You know, even the new, I will say though, some of the new comedies are not for me. Like, I don't understand, and if you like it, I'm sorry. I don't understand how anyone thought Bridesmaids was funny at all.
I loved
I
it.
thought that was the... I could not stand it. It was... I'm really bad. I don't like the awkward comedies. Any comedy that's like, even like the, oh gosh, the American Pies.
Yeah.
Anything that cringes, like Meet the Fockers or Meet the Parents, those get me because they're so cringeworthy, and I'm such an empath. I feel the cringe, and I'm like, oh, I hate this so much.
I love the first Meet the Parents. I don't really consider that a rom-com though, but like my favorite romantic comedy of all time is Annie Hall. You know, since I was 9, I've always loved that movie because it showed Woody Allen showed that you could be a complete weirdo and have a woman be attracted to you and fall in love. That's what that movie showed me, and I always took that to heart. And I own all the VHS prints of it because I love it that much. Because it was on United Artists and like CBS Fox Video and all of its other sister home video labels released it, and then MGM UA. I have all the prints because I love it that much. I also love Just the Way You Are with Christy McNichol, where she's got a brace on her leg and she can't get guys because of it. When I met her at a convention a month before COVID hit, I told her how much I love that movie, and that every time I'm down on myself about having a disability, I watch that movie and it cheers me up. And she loved hearing that. And I love the picture that we took, even though I look like a brother from the ghetto the way I was fucking dressed. I love that. That was like my favorite convention experience ever, was meeting Christy McNichol and telling her that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, there was a wave of silly romantic comedies in the late 80s, like Splash and Mannequin and all these movies, Date with an Angel, where this guy falls in love with the most unlikely woman because she's from another time or she's from a different, species or something. And
Right.
I love those because they were throwbacks to silly romantic comedies from the 30s. They were like screwball romantic comedies of the 30s, but in modern 1980s with absurd premises.
Oh, I mean, Mannequin was a fantastic. I loved Mannequin.
Yeah.
It was so silly, but my favorite movie, it's a black and white. It's a Susan Hayward movie, and it's called My Foolish Heart, which is weird because it is not a happy ending movie.
Yeah.
Which is very weird for me, but it's so good. It's yeah.
Oh.
So.
Yeah. I mean, I think Pretty Woman, it's good, but it's so overrated.
I don't know. I just quoted Pretty Woman the other day on my Facebook, and nobody got it.
Yeah.
Because I posted a picture of me with the Hollywood sign, and I was like, it's Hollywood. Everyone has a dream. What's your dream?
Yeah.
And nobody. I was all,
I got
it. Cool, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, of course, I love horror. I mean, my parents showed me The Shining when I was a year old because they love Jack Nicholson, even though they're not big on horror, and it fucked me up. But wasn't until I saw the first Friday the 13th I fell in love with the slasher genre, and I was off to the races from there. But it's funny. My brother, he was born in 73. I was born in 83. And so when we first got HBO, which was the summer of 1984, he recorded every teen sex comedy movie off HBO. Porky's, Revenge of the Nerds, Private Schools, Zapped, all the John Hughes stuff. We had family comedies like Kid Co. and Mr. Mom and Savannah Smiles and Sesame Street Presents Follow That Bird. We had a whole wide range of stuff.
That's so, yes. All of those movies, my gosh, I remember all of them. Those are so good.
Yeah, and he had a weird obsession with medieval sword and sorcery epics. He loved Kroll and Highlander and A Never-Ending Story and Labyrinth, which was my favorite. Labyrinth I love.
I don't think I've ever seen Labyrinth, but I could tell you Never-Ending Story fucked me and a lot of people up.
Okay, I don't want to spoil Labyrinth from you, but there's, right in the first 10 minutes, there's a puppet that takes a piss.
Okay. Well, that's cool.
You might like it. David Bowie does his finest acting job as the Goblin King in Labyrinth. It's a really great movie. It's like Wizard of Oz with a medieval sword and sorcery epic.
Do you remember Legend? Do you remember that movie with Tom Cruise?
Oh yes, I interviewed the oh, what was she? She was like a fly. She was like a fly girl, and she kisses Tom Cruise in the movie. I interviewed her a few years ago.
The devil was hot in that movie.
The devil was Tim Curry.
He was hot in that movie.
Yeah, Dr. Frankenfooter, the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah.
He's so talented. I know he's in a wheelchair because he had a stroke, but he's still out there. He's doing conventions and meeting the fans and stuff. And
I saw that, yeah.
He looks pretty bad, but yeah, he's out there. He's doing it. Legend was great. Yeah, I mean, I got into Mel Brooks and Neil Simon and Woody Allen and Jerry Lewis. Oh my God, my parents, they would tape Jerry Lewis for me during the day because they were on our UHF stations when I was at school. And my nana, she made homemade French fries, so I'd come home and I'd watch Jerry Lewis movies and eat homemade French fries. It was the life, Joy, the life.
Oh, it sounds fantastic, actually.
Yeah. Did you like the Tom Hanks comedies that he did early on?
Not really.
Really?
Like, they kind of annoyed me because they were always too long.
Really?
Like, I get the suspense, but then, yeah, like, You've Got Mail and, oh my gosh, what is that one? Sleepless in Seattle. But You've Got Mail drove me nuts. I watched that in the movie theater, and I remember being like, oh, am I the wrong person?
I'm talking about the early Tom Hanks movies, like The Man with One Red Shoe and Volunteers and The Burbs and Big, stuff like that.
Big and The Burbs are the only two that I've seen. I love The Burbs. I watched that in a drive-in theater with my parents, and that movie, we still watch it every once in a while. Big was creepy, because John and I actually have a full, argument right now that I don't think he slept with the woman. John thinks that he slept with the woman.
I think he prematurely ejaculated. I watched the movie last summer a couple of times because I hadn't seen it in years, and I was like, oh my God, I see all the layers of shit that people use as clickbait on YouTube with that whole fucking Pizzagate Epstein scandal rumor about Tom Hanks, It's shit, but at the same time, it's like, he didn't write the movie, so it's not like, it was his idea to have all of this, this kind of creepy stuff.
Right.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, Volunteers is my favorite. I interviewed the director. He was the worst interview I ever had. He was an arrogant, volatile, crass asshole. And I love that movie. It's kind of, it starts off like a Bridge on the River Kwai type of parody about building a bridge in the Peace Corps. And there's all these Bridge of the River Kwai references. But then it becomes like an Indiana Jones parody because he's like, being heroic in a dungeon, and there's all these escapes and everything. Him and John Candy and his soon-to-be wife at that time, Rita Wilson. It's a very funny movie. If you haven't seen it, it might be on YouTube.
Okay, I can look it up. Volunteers. Yeah, I've never heard of that one.
And do you know who plays one of his sidekicks in that? Is Long Duck Dawn. It's 16 Candles.
Okay.
Throughout the whole movie, every movie he's in, he has a catchphrase. His catchphrase in this one is, "You're an asshole." Yeah, it's a very funny movie. Did you watch the Pink Panther movies growing up?
No, I didn't. No, like I said, I'd pick one and then I just kind of stick with it.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch a lot.
Blake Edwards' daughter has been on the podcast, and she feeds off my energy because she can tell I'm a true fan of her father's work. And a documentary came out this week about him. I think Felicia Michaels is the still photographer on it.
I love her so much. That girl does not age.
She does not
Every time
age.
I see her. Yeah. No, every time I see her, I'm like, what kids are you sucking your blood from? Because holy shit, woman.
Yeah, she does not age, and she does not get back to me about coming on the podcast. I hope she does, because I want to talk to Roxy Martin from Full House.
Right.
That was my earliest memory of her, seeing her do stand-up insulting the Tanner family, and then about a year or two later, I see her on Don Herrera's Full Frontal Comedy just being the filthiest I've ever seen a woman up to that point do comedy.
Wait, I did not realize she was in Full House. I just said right, and I was like, wait, I didn't realize that.
She did 2 episodes. She was Dave
Huh.
Coulier's girlfriend in 2 episodes, and in one she insults the Tanner family, the Tanner family, and then they start insulting her the next time she comes for dinner, and then in the next episode she's only in there for like one scene or something, and this was like right in the last like season.
Huh.
Yeah.
No, she's fabulous. And Dom Herrera is the only comedian that's ever made me do a spit take.
Oh God, I just saw Dom in his first movie, this teen sex comedy from 1982 called Split, where it was a New York teen comedy, and he plays the black sheep son of a mob boss, and the mob boss is played by the guy who plays the mayor in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies, and Dom does a lot of his shtick in stand up in this movie. He does the Joey Bag of Donuts stuff that he used to do, and everything. It is funny. It's on Tubi. Go check it out just for Dom.
I will. I love him so, so, so much. Every time I see him, I cannot stop hugging him. He's just an institution. He's such a good guy.
He is. He needs to do a full Marin conversation, because he did like a short one for like this comedy festival they were at like early on, like in the first year of WTF. He needs to do a full conversation with him. I think that they would have a great conversation. Do you remember your first drive-in experience? Was it that one you mentioned earlier?
No, Burbs wasn't the first one, but it's the first one I remember, if that makes sense. Like the other
Right.
ones I don't, because we had a drive-in in Madera where I grew up, and it's actually still there. And so, but the Burbs for some reason was the one that I remembered the most. I don't know why, it was just that movie got me, and it was like before the movie would start, you would go, and there was this rickety ass swing set that only had one swing that worked, and it was rusty, and like all of us kids would fight over it, and then the movie would start, and because the Burbs was the second movie, because you'd always fall asleep for the first movie, and then the second movie was the more risque one, and I think it was the first time I was able to stay awake for the second movie, and I was like, ooh, the risque movie. And
I'm glad you mentioned that. So, like, my parents took me to the movies for the first time when I was 2 at the drive-in. We saw Weird Science and Rambo 2. I kind of remember it. And they took me... I can remember every movie they took me to in those first 2 years. I mean, I saw The Golden Child, Heartbreak Ridge, Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, Down and Out in Beverly Hills, Ruthless People, Beverly Hills Cop 2. That was the last one that they took me to for a while, because it got to a point where I was either falling asleep in the back seat, or I was getting out of the car and knocking on windshields. True story. Yeah. And, we saw Michael J. Fox's movie Light of Day. That was a weird night, because there was a lot of drama going on in my family. And I remember my uncles, my aunts, my cousins, they were all there that night. That's the only time we went as like a whole family unit when I was a kid. And I just remember getting lost and then finding my way at this merry-go-round, and my uncle like came and got me. And he's like my only uncle left who's still alive too. And it was a weird time. But it was emotional. And also that night, I saw Charlie Chaplin for the first time. There was a stand-up cardboard poster of him selling Bagley's cookies. And I was like, hey, Mommy, I want a cookie just like that man has. And she's like, you don't get a cookie, I'm mad. Because she had to go complain about something. Yeah. My dad was a teenager in the 70s, and he used to go to the movies a lot, and like he would have to go see a movie 3 times because the first 2 times he had a date and he was getting laid, and then the third time he saw it, he was like, "Oh, this is a masterpiece. It's going to be a classic someday."
It's hilarious.
He did that with Rocky, Animal House, The Groove Tube, which was Chevy Chase and Richard Belzer's first movie. Did you ever see that?
No, no, all these movies you're mentioning, and I haven't seen most of them. I remember The Golden Child.
Yeah. Oh my God. Someone said once, the movie made a lot of money, but does anybody really like it?
Right. I only remember the booger part.
Yeah. Well, it was Eddie's first PG movie. It was PG-13, and when you watch it now, you can see that he was going to be doing family movies later because it practically is one, and it's just really weird that he would do it at that point in time.
Right.
I remember he was on Letterman to promote his album, and Letterman was like, "How come you haven't done a new movie since Beverly Hills Cop?" He says, "I'm getting all these scripts. I can't find one that's truly me. I hope I do." And then Golden Child comes out a year later.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and then he went right into Beverly Hills Cop 2. Yeah, we were big Eddie fans in my family. We had a tape that had 48 Hours and Delirious on it, and I had to leave the room when Delirious was on. And I stole the tape when I was 14 and watched it, and I was like, oh my God, my dad used to quote these jokes around the house. I thought they were his.
We still do that when we'll walk by and we'll be like, "Hey, Eddie Murphy, fuck you, Eddie Murphy. You're the fuck you man."
Yeah. You don't get no ice cream. Yeah. Oh my God. So getting into television, like what were your go-to sitcoms?
Well, me, I was always like the TGIF, so it was the Full House,
Yeah.
the Family Matters, oh my gosh. Oh, what was it called?
Boy Meets World?
The one, we did Boy Meets World with Topanga, and then there was one where the family had like a bunch of kids.
Step by Step.
Yep, Step by Step. That was one. Yeah, and then a lot of like the Nickelodeon shows, like Hey Dude. I loved Hey Dude.
I never watched Hey Dude. I don't know, all of those Nickelodeon shows, because I was in a comfort zone. I loved my You Can't Do That on Television, and like the early game shows that were on there. After that, I checked out. I never watched Hey Arnold or Hey Dude or any of that stuff.
And then I had a baby brother, so then I had to go back to the cartoons because he got to choose. So,
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. No.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad I didn't because, with all that Dan Schneider shit that's been coming out lately and stuff, it's kind of creepy. But, yeah.
Right.
I was a Wonder Years kid. I still am. I interviewed two of Kevin's teachers that he had a crush on. One passed away a few years ago, and then one I just had on, Rebecca Staub. Do you remember her? She's been on, every TV show.
It sounds familiar.
Rebecca Staub has been on every TV show, and she played, what's her name, in the Fantastic Four movie that didn't get released, but now it's been linked on YouTube. Yeah, and she's the bitch that rejects Tate Donovan in Love Potion number 9. Yeah. And,
okay.
Yeah, so I talked to her. She was a force, She she loves to talk. Yeah, I mean, I watched all those TGIF Friday shows, but I also watched the shows that had been in syndication, that were a little bit of my brother's generation, like The Facts of Life and Give Me a Break and Webster and Small Wonder, and a lot of those shows.
Oh my God, Small Wonder. I remember Small Wonder and Mr. Belvedere and Facts of Life. I love Facts of Life. I was madly in love with Jo. I thought she was so pretty.
On which one? The Facts of Life?
On Facts of Life, yep.
I liked her until she got the mullet.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, once she got
But there was one scene... sorry.
No, go ahead.
There was one episode, and it's awful that I'm about to say this, where I think she almost gets raped.
Yes.
And she comes and her hair's like kind of messed up, and I was like, oh, she looks really pretty. Like, I thought that was the prettiest I ever saw her. It was like before she got raped.
You are so cold-blooded and evil. I love it. Yeah, I just interviewed the mom on Small Wonder. You know, she played a teacher on the sitcom Soap, where she has like an affair with Scott Baio's cousin Jimmy Baio on that show, and she's like, you know, I got a couple hate mail letters, but nothing big. If it were nowadays, you know, I'd be canceled.
That's true.
Yeah. Oh, God, I remember there was an episode of Small Wonder where an Arab prince comes to the house, and he's got his entourage. Gino Conforti, who played Felipe on Three's Company, is his personal yes man. And, like, Vicky, like, says to them, you must be the camel jockey. You could not get away with that today.
Wait, there was another one. It was a show, and the guy had like a lamb puppet, and like they had a gay neighbor named. Oh my God! What was it called?
Are you talking about Waylon Flowers?
Maybe.
Yeah, some of the writers on The Simpsons were writers for his show, and they named Waylon Smithers after him.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Perfect Strangers. I loved Perfect Strangers.
Huge Perfect Strangers fan. Do you know John Palermo?
No.
The stand-up comedian. He has a podcast called Dystopia Tonight. He had Bronson Pinchot on like 2 weeks ago. Oh my God, he is a rude douche. Bronson Pinchot.
I've heard.
Yeah.
I have heard that before.
John Lovitz.
Like numerous times.
John Lovitz said he was the worst host on Saturday Night Live when he was on. He never called any of the cast members by their names. He would like snap his fingers and say comedian.
Ew.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a dick. But he's a talented, funny guy. I loved him as Surge in Beverly Hills Cop. You know, get the fuck out of here. No, I cannot, because it's a really important piece. Mm-hmm. He did that in the new one. They just did that in the new one that came out.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, I knew they were, because they did in the third one as well.
Right. You're like, if it works, do it again.
Did you watch Out of This World?
No.
Yeah, that's the girl from outer space, and Donna Pescow's the mother.
No, I didn't see that one. Oh, fuck, you're like bringing me down memory lane with all of these names. Holy shit.
That's the whole point.
This is awesome.
Oh, yeah, Maureen Flanagan her name was Evie. That was the character, the girl from outer space. I had such a hard-on for her. I used to get off school at 3 and make sure that I was at home to watch Out of This World and Saved by the Bell back to back.
Oh my God, Saved by the Bell. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I watched that one too.
I got all the seasons on DVD from Walmart. It was only $20 a couple years ago. I got them at Christmas time, and I wish I had the college years ones too. I mean, as even though the show was kind of jumping the shark by that point, it still was funny. There's some funny moments in the college years, but the high school is the best. I didn't like the new class though.
Oh, I didn't either. I tried, and I was like, nope, we're done.
Yeah. Yeah. My Nana and I, we used to watch Cagney and Lacey, but I could never get into Murder, She Wrote or Matlock or any of that old-timey stuff that she was into.
I tried Matlock once, and I only remember one episode. I don't know why, because my grandma used to watch it, and it was like, there was a murder in the hotel, and he figured out that who the murderer was because the bath mat had switched, but under the bath mat was the number of the hotel room. So I don't know why. I remember that. It was very weird. Sorry, took that on a weird turn.
Yeah, Linda Pearl was on in the first season, and then what's her name? I think her name's Nancy Grossman or something like that. She took over, And I seen her doing interviews. She's like a hardcore Christian now and life coach. I can't stand that life coach thing with actors in Hollywood. It's just another extension of creating their own content bullshit for money, pretty much. If they can't get hired, yeah, they just
Yep.
they just do their own content creation of bullshit, you know. And like, in the beginning, it doesn't happen much anymore because now I tell people, where I stand. But in the beginning, they used to say, take my course, or this and that. And I was like, bitch, you better give me that shit for free because I gave you an interview.
Right.
Yeah. And you also better have me be a guest speaker because I'm a public figure just as much as you are, even though people know who you are. But it hasn't happened in years now. Um, Saturday Night Live, of course. I mean, I love the original cast the most, but in my era of growing up on Phil Hartman and Spade and Carvey and Sandler and all of them, I mean, they were just as good. But Saturday Night Live's original cast, they were like punk rock. They were doing shit for the first time. It was subversive, and they were given FU, they were giving the finger to, the establishment. It was just so groundbreaking.
No, I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah. Like, what was your favorite cast?
That's hard because like you, I love the Adam Sandler, David Spade, all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I will say though that Norm Macdonald when he was doing the Weekend Update was just fabulous. Norm Macdonald is just fabulous. I kind of hate to say it, but I like Michael Che and Colin Yost as the Weekend Update. Those two crack me up.
I don't watch,
especially when they battle back and
yeah.
I don't really watch it either, but they battle back and forth and so Michael Che will write Colin Yost jokes and Colin will write, well, at least that's the bit.
Yeah.
And they're both super racist to the other people. So it's actually, if you could just go and see like little clips of them, it's hilarious. But like Gilda Radner, she will always have my heart.
Yes.
So Chevy Chase, all of that. I don't know. They all have their certain things, I think.
Yeah, I saw Gilda's documentary because I interviewed the director a few years ago of it. I just loved her, and when she passed away, I was so sad. I was just about to finish kindergarten that year, I remember, and I was watching Haunted Honeymoon a lot during that era, and just like it really, really punctured my soul.
Yeah, that one was a hard one. I actually listened to her audiobook because it's her voice. And basically when she finished her audiobook, she passed away basically right after. So It was heartbreaking because she talks about having the cancer and not being able to have kids. And you can just hear it in her voice.
Alan Zweibel, the writer on SNL back then who was close to her, during the period that she was married to Gene Wilder, Gene Wilder didn't want the two of them being friends. He was jealous, right? So she asked him, if I think she asked him or he took the initiative to donate blood to her on her last transfusion before she died. And he wrote her a note saying, because they always had a little sexual tension between them, even though they were like brother and sister. He wrote in the note, "Dear Gilda, see, I told you I would have my fluid in you."
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. It's sweet, too. And yeah, that audio book, I did hear samples of it on her A&E biography. You can tell in her voice that it was really emotional for her to even, talk like that. Yeah, she was actually supposed to host Saturday Night Live just before she got sick again. Right after she battled the first round of cancer, she was supposed to host it. She was supposed to host again, but then the writer's strike happened that year.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, and she was gonna, and U2 was gonna be the musical guest. I think they came on years later, but it would have been interesting to see them as the biggest band in the world at that time on SNL. Were you a Living Color fan?
I watched some of it. My parents were really weird. Like, I wasn't really even allowed to watch The Simpsons.
Really?
Which is funny because The Simpsons is my maiden name. Or Simpson is my maiden, not The Simpsons. So, yeah, they didn't let us watch The Simpsons until, like, 5 or 6 seasons later, and so I was super behind. And King of the Hill, and then they finally let us watch The Simpsons, and yeah, so The Simpsons was kind of like everybody else. I kind of hated it because of our last name, so they'd be like, "Where's Bart? Is your dad's name Homer?" And I'm like, "Fucking yeah." And then fucking OJ decides to kill Nicole when I was in high school. So then I'd just be like, yeah, Simpson, that's my last name. Like, we really didn't like Aunt Nicole. She was kind of a bitch.
Yeah.
I'm not a good person.
I heard they tried to get OJ on The Simpsons a few times before and after the trial. And I guess he didn't want to do it, you know. I guess they were going to have him be the cousin or something.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, I have a friend. He was actually OJ's brother's roommate for a short time, like 15 years ago, and I met him and stuff, and he was a nice guy. Yeah, I loved In Living Color. Like we watched that show every Sunday, me and my family, and Saturday morning cartoons. I was a big lover of like Alvin and the Chipmunks, and you may remember this show. It was on just before I was cognizant to remember, but I found it later. It was called Kid Video.
No.
Kid Video was about a kid group, a kid music group, who gets transported into a cartoon every week.
Oh, that sounds cool. No, I don't remember that one.
Yeah.
I was like the Snorks.
The Snorks, the Care Bears. Do you remember
the Gummy Bears?
Gummy Bears. Do you remember Captain N, the Game Master?
No.
That was like a Nintendo show, and the lead singer of the Four Tops, Levi Stubbs, who was Audrey 2 in Little Shop of Horrors, he was like the voice of the villain in that cartoon.
Oh, that's cool. No, I don't remember that one.
It only lasted like a year or something like that. But my brother was a big Nintendo kid, so we watched it a few times on Saturday mornings. It was on CBS, like right after Pee-wee's Playhouse and Hey Vern, It's Ernest. The Real Ghostbusters, I was a big fan of.
I love that one.
Darkwing Duck.
I remember Darkwing Duck. I hated it, though, because it was... I'm telling you, I'm not an action person.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, Tiny Toon Adventures.
I do remember Tiny Toons, yep.
Yeah, I call it the corporate Looney Tunes because Spielberg is behind it.
I like the little girl that would always go, I'm going to love them and hug them and squeeze them and squeeze them. And I was
Elvira.
My mom would always say that was me. Yep.
My first girlfriend's name was Elvira, so we used to like tease her a little bit, like hey, where's the Looney Tunes, Elvira? Yeah, I loved that. There was this one cartoon I watched, Galaxy High. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember. I've never even heard of that one.
Yeah, another short-lived one, but Nancy Cartwright, the voice of Bart Simpson, she was the voice of a girl named Gilda Gossip. She was like an alien type of a girl with like 3 mouths.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, that was pre-Bart Simpson, pre-Scientology for Nancy Cartwright.
Oh, did she go into Science? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah. I have her book, and I think she alludes to it. She thinks that's the reason why the cast of The Simpsons didn't become close after the first year or two, you know, once it became known that she was in Scientology, but I don't know. That's not my story to tell. But...
Right.
But, like, when I watched Nickelodeon in the early years, I would, like, watch... Do you remember Pinwheel?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I feel so bad.
No, it's okay. Pinwheel was like it was a ripoff of the Electric Company, and the Electric Company was a ripoff of Sesame Street. So it's just adults and puppets teaching lessons to kids. And Pinwheel had this theme song. Pinwheel, pinwheel, spinning around. Look at my pinwheel. Look what I found. Pinwheel, pinwheel. And a lot of people remember that for that show. It was a Canadian show.
Okay, no, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, Today's Special. Do you remember that one?
Vaguely.
That was another Canadian show. The mannequin Jeff. Every time his hat comes off, he becomes a human.
Yes, I do remember that one.
Yeah, I interviewed the guy who did the voice and puppetry for Sam, the security guard. It's the Bob Dermer. Oh my God, the guy became a father at 60 years old, and his son's a teenager now. I think that's very that's very sweet. You know, it's amazing too.
Oh my God, I could not imagine having a kid right now. My
Well,
youngest is 13. I'm done.
yeah, well, him, he went his whole life without kids, and then he finally became father at 60. You know, it's a different story. I mean, yeah, with the kids that you have now, yeah, you don't want any more in the future. Do you remember Slim Goodbody?
No, I do not remember Slim Goodbody.
Okay, okay, you don't remember him. Yeah, he wore like a bodysuit of like what the organs, what your body looks like internally, and every time he turned.
Yes.
Yeah, and every time he turned around, oh my God, I would just be disgusted when I saw the little teeny tiny bones in his ass. I was like, turn around, man.
I didn't know that was his name.
Yeah, Slim Goodbody. And
I loved that guy.
I
mean, fucking.
I like the content,
Sorry.
but I just didn't like it when he turned around.
I mean, look at what I do for a living. This is what I love the body.
Yeah.
All I do is touch naked bodies all day. I'm actually I'm laying on my massage bed because my next one, as soon as I'm done with you, my next one's getting here.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I reached out to him like 5 years ago, and he said, I'll think about it, and then I never heard from him again. It's okay, though. Yeah, HBO in our generation had the best children's programming, though. We had shows like Encyclopedia and Encyclopedia Brown and the Babysitters Club. Remember
No,
those?
I don't remember any of these.
Oh my God. Fraggle Rock?
Fraggle Rock.
Yes. I've interviewed puppeteers from Fraggle Rock. They're all Canadian. They're the nicest people. Just the nicest.
Oh,
They have far less ego than the American puppeteers of Henson, who won't even. I've had one person from the American puppeteers of Henson come on here, and he had an ego. They all have egos, the American ones, because they all became entrepreneurs and having their own production company, and they're trying to make puppetry last forever now because
right.
CGI has taken over the world.
Oh, yes. I didn't even know Fraggle Rock was Canadian. That's interesting.
Well, Jim Henson, sometimes he'd pitch these shows, and networks would be like, "Oh, this is too far out," so he would say, "Fuck it, I'm going to go up to Canada and do it," and that's what he did. He did it with Fraggle Rock. He did it with the Christmas Toy Special, which I love. He did it with the Frog Prince early on in his career, before anybody knew who the Muppets were. He had Kermit. He had Kermit and his nephew Robin be the two frogs of the story in that one.
I remember that.
Yeah, and what's his name? The soap opera actor who came out as gay recently. He was he was Robin as a prince, and he sang that song. They call me Sir Robin the Brave, and maybe someday history will be saved. I'm valiant and daring, noble and caring.
I remember that because my mom's name is Robin.
Oh yeah, is it with a Y?
Nope. She's with an I.
Okay, because I was thinking about what's her name, Robin Bird, the porn star who had her own cable access show in New York. Yeah, her show got raided by the police because they thought that she was doing illegal stuff, which it was kind of illegal just for the fact that it was public sex being filmed, but there was no censorship in New York. People could watch that at 2 a.m.
Right.
Yeah, she was in Debbie Does Dallas.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
A classic.
A classic. Deep Throat is so fucking overrated, though. That quote unquote legendary John Holmes cum shot is so weak. It's take 12. It's not take 1 or 2. I don't give credit to half-assed work. I want to see an explosion there.
Well, you stick to your guns.
Yes. Back to the kids stuff. Do you remember Paddington Bear?
I do. I hated that show. It was so boring.
It's British, so you gotta look at it from that angle.
You're right. You're correct. But
Oh my God, who was your late night talk show host?
I wasn't allowed to
Really?
watch that stuff.
Not on Friday nights, at least.
Oh God, no! My parents were so strict.
Wow.
Why do you think I do dirty ass comedy? If I ever throwing it out in the universe, if I ever do a comedy special, it's going to be called Trauma Dumping because I'm just my childhood. Like here's it all. Here's all of it. No, my parents would not let me.
By the time I was 12, I went from watching late night TV on Friday nights to watching it every night because I drink a lot of soda during the day, and I hated school. I wanted an excuse to not go the next day. I would just stay up and watch Conan or Letterman or sometimes Leno, and and think I want to be on these shows someday. Please God, get me on these shows someday. And now I don't want to because the podcast world came along, and I'd rather have real conversations than the superficial fake ones on late night TV.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I remember, there was, what was her name? Stephanie Miller, I want to say.
Yes.
I think she had a talk show, way back in the day. And I remember sneaking and watching that a couple times. And then, the Soup?
Oh,
was it The Soup?
Talk Soup.
Talk Soup, that's what it was.
With
Greg Kinnear.
Yes, that was before Chelsea Handler took over E.
Yeah, because it was, it was Greg Kinnear and then Skunk Boy. Oh my gosh, why can't I think of his name? John Henson? So he took it over after Greg Kinnear. And they called him Skunk Boy because he had a streak of white in his hair.
Yeah, I used to watch that, and I'd watch what they showed Letterman reruns from the 80s on after it, and I really got into Letterman at that point there, because I'd watch Johnny with my nana on Friday night, but I really got into Letterman when the E channel came, and then I started watching him on CBS on nights that I wasn't supposed to. I was supposed to be in bed, Did you watch any HBO comedy specials growing up?
No, comedy was not allowed in our house.
It almost sounds like you grew up religious.
Just a little. Yeah, we grew up racist Christian. Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so damn funny. Yeah, I mean, I watched the Rodney Dangerfield special with Kinnison and Saget and all of them when I was 2, and even though I was only 2, it changed me forever when I saw Sam. Oh my God, that scream. And then I got into Bobcat and Dice and Carlin and Richard Jenny. Did you play board games as a kid?
No, I was just board games. A little. We were doing, Chutes and Ladders and Candyland.
I never understood Candyland. It was to me as a kid, it was like a chick game.
Well, I'm a chick, so it's okay.
Yeah, I never understood why it was so appealing.
But I will say, I'm jealous of you for listening to all the comedy back then, because I feel like I'm catching up now.
Yeah, I mean...
Yeah. And even, the old, the staple movies in the 80s, I didn't get to watch those.
I know. Well, I mean, I do feel bad for people who didn't grow up with this stuff when I talk to them, I guess you can call it bad parenting that turned into something magical. Or something like that. I don't know. When I try to analyze it.
Because it's too controlling sometimes. Like I said, about 4 years ago, I watched Ferris Bueller's Day Off for the first time.
Right. What did you think of it?
And I hated it.
Really?
I hated it.
Gilbert Gottfried hated that movie because he thought that Ferris Bueller was just this sociopathic little shit.
Yes. That's what I was all... I would never let my kids hang out with this guy. I was like, I fucking hate this guy.
Yeah.
And the Stand By Me's and all of these other movies, every once in a while, John will be like, oh, have you seen that? And I'm all, no. And he's like, did you watch any movies in the 80s? And I was like, I guess I had like one, Teen Witch. I watched Teen Witch like 1,000 times.
Oh,
Um,
Robin Lively is coming to a con near me. I hope I get to go meet her, and I would love to have her on the podcast. I'm a huge Robin Lively fan. 'Cause I interviewed her friend who does Top That, Top That.
Hilarious.
Yeah, Mandy Ingber, she's like a yoga instructor now, and she's always bragging about how Jennifer Aniston is her biggest client, you know?
No, I will say though, another movie that I remember that I watched a lot was North and South. Well, it was a series. It had Patrick
Oh,
Swayze in it and
yeah,
Christy Alley.
David Carradine, yeah.
Uh-huh. I loved that. I
But
watched that all the time.
every library I ever went to, like in my 20s, I would see that miniseries on the shelf because it was educational, you know?
It was so good. So good.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Um, Yeah. Oh, I wanted to bring up in the board games thing. I wanted to bring up Twister. I talked to a sex educator, and she told me that Twister is a good training ground for 69.
That makes perfect sense, actually.
Yeah. I mean, God. I mean, when you think about it, has anyone ever gotten injured playing Twister?
Oh, yes, 1,000%.
Yeah. I played it maybe once when I was in kindergarten, and I was a big kid, so I was just like, yeah, no, this ain't for me. What kind of music did you grow up listening to?
Well, my parents were my mom listened to country, which, country when it was good.
Hmm.
And then my dad was like Pink Floyd, so I'm still like a huge Pink Floyd fan. And just, so basically whatever my parents listened to is what I was allowed to listen to.
Yeah.
And then I decided to break off and be a rebel, and then I would listen to like Andrea Bocelli
Hmm.
and opera, which was weird, but it was just what they didn't listen to, so I wanted to listen to it.
Yeah.
So
I
Alanis Morissette.
I was an MTV kid, so we had everything from, my parents had vinyl records, everything from the Beatles to the Stones to Johnny Cash live at Folsom Prison, and Foreigner, Fleetwood Mac, Captain Beefheart, stuff like that. Very versatile. And I was an MTV kid, so I loved 80s new wave and all the hair metal bands and stuff. Do you remember your first concert?
Yes, it was when I was almost 18.
Hmm.
And it was Rob Zombie and Korn, the Family Values Tour in Bakersfield.
Oh my God. I saw the Monkees at Candlestick Park when I was 14, and there was only three of them. I had a huge crush on Davey when I was growing up, and they drove off the field in a Cadillac with the top down after the show.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I saw Steppenwolf at the county fair. I saw Alice Cooper. I've seen lots of great bands: Aerosmith, Rush, Joe Walsh, The Who, with just Roger and Pete. Yeah, I've been to a lot of great concerts.
See, I haven't. Once again, jealous. I've seen Hellstorm 5 times.
You saw Hailstorm?
5 times. They're my band.
I'm not too familiar with Hailstorm.
It's a female singer. Her brother's the drummer, and then they have a bass player. She just has this like crazy range. It's like Pat Benatar range. She's
Hmm.
awesome.
Do you remember your first makeout song?
I don't think I had one.
Okay. Mine was Janet.
I'm so-
It's okay. There's a lot of people who didn't have makeout songs, so don't worry. Mine was Janet Jackson's "Love Will Never Do Without You,"
Okay.
and
All right.
that led to my first finger bang.
Nice. Were you getting fingered or were you fingering?
I was fingering.
Good job.
Yes, she squirted a little bit.
Nice.
Yes. And I had her cousin on the podcast, and I asked her how she was doing because we had a falling out about 15 years ago. We were trying to like rekindle stuff, and it went south, and yada yada. But yeah, I hope her and I do get to rekindle because she would be great to nerd out with on the podcast. She was a pop culture nut like me, so.
Nice. I know I feel bad. I feel
Oh
you're all
no.
this, and well, no.
No, you've been great. You've been great. Um, so I see you've been busy doing all these awesome things. I saw that you did a live episode of When Wife Gives You Lemons, and I was so happy for you. How was that experience?
It was so much fun. At first, I thought John was gonna freeze because he's a freezer,
Hmm.
but he did really well, and it was just having the audience there and the feedback from the immediate feedback from the audience. It was a blast, honestly. And John and I have been talking about doing it again because we've been talking about it for so long, and just to do it live, it was so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the beginning for you, but it looked so great. And I talked to Leanne a few weeks ago. She's going to try to come on here in October because it's been 4 years since we talked and stuff. You know, she's been managing Bert like around the clock and stuff. But I think you should email her and say, "Hey, remember me?"
I know you say that every time. I don't even think I have her email. Maybe I'll message you and get it from her.
Yeah, because yeah, I mean, you know, she does her book club thing with her friends and stuff. It would be cool if they like read one of your books, you know.
It would be so cool. So cool.
What's that Beetlejuice bingo thing you advertised the other day?
So there's this location, it's a new venue where I'm around, and she's actually going to let me do my own show. I'm doing a comedy show there on the 15th of September.
Mm,
And it's a brand new venue, and she's not really good at the social media stuff, so I'm trying to help her out with the social media. So it's just somebody else's venue that I'm always trying to help people and make people succeed.
of
So
course.
that's all it is.
Are you excited about the upcoming Beetlejuice movie coming out?
I don't know. I'm one of those that I'm so afraid it's going to be bad that you
Yeah.
almost don't want to watch it.
I want to see it just for reference, but I've seen the trailer. I mean, he looks old with that makeup on, but who knows? It could be good. Who knows?
It could, I mean, and it's Michael Keaton, and we all know I have a very special place in my heart for Michael Keaton.
And
Always will, always have.
Me too. And Tim Burton has said that movie got him out of retirement because he was pretty much done after the Dumbo remake.
Right.
Yeah, but who knows? It might be good. And I have
I hope so.
yeah, and I have a couple jokes for you.
Give them to me.
Yes. Um, what kind of meat does a priest eat on Friday?
An altar boy.
None. I know everyone thought it was going to be the altar boy. Everyone. And what did the blonde say after a blowjob?
What?
Way to go, team.
That a girl. Keeping up the team morale.
Yeah. Joy, I love you. Thank you for nerding out with me today.
Of course. No, this was a blast.
Yes, and don't be hard on yourself. You know, I mean, at least we engaged and we enjoyed ourselves. You know, and you have nothing to be ashamed about in your past because you have carved out your own niche, and you are doing so fantastically well, and you're going to continue doing
So,
fantastically well.
you know what? Ditto. So are you. I'm super proud of you. You're doing it.
Thank you, hon. You have a great day. Be safe, and after you're done today, rest those fingers.
Yeah, I will. I'll make John do the fingering.
Yeah. Okay. Bye bye, love.
Okay, bye.
Well, there you have it. Joy Eileen. Ain't she a sweetheart? I fucking love her. She is the queen of dirtiness, sarcasm, and yet she's the most undirty person there is. She is a good person. And go check out her shit online. You know, When Wife Gives You Lemons, her and her husband John are so fucking funny together, and Happy Ending Massages, you know, podcast, and everything else she does. Go read her books. She's just a talented lady, and she's going to continue doing well. By the way, our talk cut off like 4 or 5 times during this conversation, but we made it solid in 1 hour before her next massage. So everything's all good. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying There's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes.